I'm Kat.
And I'm Haley.
And this is Night Classy.
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
Where are you taking us on this learning journey, Haley?
I will be taking us down an emotional path on this learning journey to learn about some women heroes of World War II.
I don't like the emotional part.
It will be emotional, so drink up. Drink
Okay.
that water, girl.
Well, mine's not emotional. I'm going to be telling you about the act that may have popularized, I can pronounce things, the trope of throwing tomatoes at bad performers.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, people definitely threw shit at bad performers since the beginning of time, but this might be where that stereotype was really solidified.
I really only thought that was something in cartoons and movies. I didn't think that was a real thing.
It's real. It's real.
Oh my gosh. I would go for some sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, a sun-dried tomato mozzarella sandwich.
Yeah, pour some vinaigrette on there and just toss it up like a frisbee. Like mozzarella, yeah, and then the tomato. Yeah. What's that called? Bruschetta?
What? I
There's a
said
name for that.
sandwich.
I know,
bruschetta.
but
there's no fresh tomatoes on bruschetta.
That's true. I just want all tomatoes, I guess.
Yeah, all
Any tomatoes really work.
True. I'm not a huge fan of sun-dried tomato.
Yeah.
When I eat them, I like them cut up really tiny. I don't
really
like the big
tiny
pieces.
on pizza would be really good.
Ooh, on pizza, yeah.
Pizza's really good, or in
some
a pasta.
garlic and basil.
Oh my god. And if we're getting into it, really what I would prefer instead of tomatoes would be some what are they called? Some roasted peppers.
Okay. I had no idea where you were going to go with that.
I know. My brain is just off the rails.
Roasted peppers would be good. I am starving and I'm drinking water because I came here from work and I was starving and I found some pretzels in my car.
We have to work for a living.
God, it's the worst. So I ate a whole bunch of pretzels and then I didn't have any water. And there's nothing worse than having pretzel dry mouth and no water. So I've been chugging water.
Have you seen the episode of Seinfeld about pretzels?
No.
Kramer has one line in a soap opera, and it's, "These pretzels are making me thirsty."
Oh, yeah, I
and
have
he
seen
the whole episode is trying different ways to say it.
Yeah.
But you kind of just
That was
organically said it.
It's true. There's a reason. That was a whole bit.
thirst.
Can you give it to us real quick? Just feed
Can
us
I
the
give
line.
you, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
That was
good.
real.
That was good.
That was real.
It's easier to act when it comes from a place of experience.
That's what acting is about. Acting is reality.
It is.
Method acting.
Speaking of acting, I watched the 3rd episode of The Last of Us, and I'm ready to
Yes.
share my thoughts.
Please.
My thoughts are I don't want to watch that show anymore because it made me too sad and I give up.
No.
Yes.
That's not an option. You have to keep going.
It's too sad, and I don't
it
like
just-
to feel too sad.
It's
and
so
then
well written.
I was up all night and I couldn't sleep, and I felt so depressed and anxious because it was so sad. And I was like, what happens when Alec dies? And that's what I thought. I was like, what happens when Alec dies, over and over again? And I just can't watch sad things. I can't.
You can twist it and make it realize, how happy you are to have Alec in your life right now.
I see what you're saying because it was a great episode. I loved it all the way until the last 5 minutes. It was my favorite.
I know.
I just want to watch the happy parts of things.
You can't stop watching now, though.
I think I will.
You see what I have to
The
deal
same
with?
thing happened to me with
Should.
Squid Game. I
Kat,
can't
it's
watch sad
just-
things.
I mean, you'll miss so much of this world, and you won't even
it's
know
just
it.
TV.
Katya,
I can miss TV.
Please.
That's not the way you act with Bachelor.
The Bachelor's not sad. I don't watch sad things. I don't. They
just
send
don't
me
get
into an anxiety spiral.
Okay, I get that, but at the same time, I wish your brain was different.
I'm a delicate flower. What can I
sorry.
say? No, I probably will keep watching. I just don't like when stuff like that happens.
I know. It was really, really hard to watch. And I think Tommy and I were both quiet for the rest of the night. I cried. I just easily cry at stuff like that. But it just is such a moving
It was
show.
it was very touching. It was a great episode. They did a phenomenal job, but oh
It
my
got
god,
too real
it was
for you.
Too real.
Well, I have an update for
Okay.
you. So when we recorded our Patreon shows, which we kind of we're doing differently now these days, you told me to watch Ghost Ship,
Yes,
right? You
yes.
said watch the first 10 minutes.
Did you?
Well, I watched an entire movie called Ghost Ship.
No.
And Tommy got home from comedy for like the last 5 minutes were left in the movie. And I'm like, yeah, Kat and Alec told me to watch this movie. Like, it's good. But he's like, what is it? I'm like, Ghost Ship. And I was like, they said that I just had to watch the first 10 minutes and it was this crazy twist. But, and I'm like, I mean, it was a little crazy, but I was like, but I really don't know what they were talking about. And then he's like, it's the one where this happens. And I'm like, no. He's like, but they're on to this and this happens, right? That's the one. I'm like, none of that happened.
Oh my god, so he ruined it for you.
Not really. I went and actually watched it and it was more surprising than I thought it was going to be.
God.
But I watched an entire movie called Ghost Ship.
Did we get the title wrong?
No, I searched Ghost Ship on Roku. And you said that it was on Freevee or something for free, and I couldn't find it for free anywhere. So I went to YouTube. Like, sometimes they put movies on YouTube. And there was one for free. It was an hour and 40 minutes called Ghost Ship. And I watched it. That was the name of it. It was a horror movie. It was good. I would recommend it.
Okay.
It was not the one you were talking about.
Props for watching the whole thing.
I feel like maybe it was a spin-off or something of that one.
Like maybe a weird sequel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Wow.
not the Ghost Ship you told me to watch.
Yeah, you don't like... You didn't watch the whole real Ghost Ship, did you?
No, I watched the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes is the only thing worth watching.
Obviously what they're talking about.
Oh my god. So you were waiting the whole time for something crazy to happen?
Yeah, well, I was going to come in here and bitch at you guys and be like, what was so shocking about that? Like,
I would have been so confused.
Nothing like the actual movie you were talking about. So
Wow.
that's my update about Ghost Ship.
Well, I'm so sorry I made you watch that other movie.
It was a good movie.
I'm glad it was good. Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
It was a nice horror. Well, I don't know if you're so anxiety ridden.
As long as it's not sad. Like, I can deal with, like, bad things happening. I just don't want to feel sad.
No, it's not sad.
Okay.
It's confusing and kind of horrifying.
Okay, well, that's why I like horror movies. They're not sad. Like, they never, like, get you attached to the characters, really. Even in the good ones, you don't really... You know, it's not the same.
They're not fostering relationship.
Yeah.
Well, that's my update.
If you're listening, the proper one is the 2002 Ghost Ship. It looks like right now it's on HBO Max. Excuse me, Max.
How dare you?
Yes, it was. That's where we watched it. So I don't know why it didn't show up when I searched it on Roku. Roku's like the absolute worst
It's
when
so
you search
bad.
for things.
Sometimes, yeah, in certain apps it doesn't bring it up sometimes, especially
Yeah.
Netflix. I feel like it never recommends stuff that's on Netflix.
It doesn't. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. Had to clear
Wow.
that.
Well, I'm glad Tommy was there to set you straight.
Me too.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna clear that misunderstanding up, it's gonna be Tommy.
Did he lecture you afterward?
He did. He told me, we watched it together, and then he went to brush his teeth and wash his face, and he was still going on about, he was like, I can't believe you thought that was the right one. He's like, you watched that entire movie with ads on YouTube thinking, just waiting for the twist. You thought that was the original Ghost Ship.
That is so funny.
It was insane, but it was totally something that would happen to me. So hopefully it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Still so impressed. That's a good friend move, watching the entire shitty movie.
I do what I can.
I know. You've come through for me more than once this week.
And because I did that, now you have to watch the rest of Last of Us.
Okay, deal. I will.
Boom, got it.
Eventually. I've been averaging about one episode every 2 weeks, so we'll see
what
how
you
that
can
pattern
stomach.
continues. Yeah. I've just been really into Stardew Valley lately, and I haven't wanted to watch anything because I just want to play the game.
She's back in her Stardew era.
I'm in my Stardew era, spending a lot of time on Ginger Island.
Get that hay.
The deal.
Take care of those animals.
Yeah, get those Purple Star milks. It's a whole thing.
Milk.
You wouldn't understand.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know if I want to.
You want to. It's so fun. Anyway, are you ready to hear a tale?
Right after I remind our lovely listeners that if they want to hang out with us like we do every single month, we're having our cocktail hour like we do every first Friday. That is open to all of our lovely Patreon supporters at every single level, starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. We typically go for about an hour. Kat had a lot of fun last time, so
I will
see how
not
much
be
fun.
having that level of fun this time because we're in the middle of moving and things are chaotic, and I'm gonna have to be like moving shit right up until the time of cocktail hour, and then
you won't be having alcoholic fun, but
no,
it will be general good times.
I will be having a good sober hang with y'all. Actually, I'll probably still drink wine, but
Gen Z and do a mocktail.
Yeah, water talk. Was it
Water
you that I was
talk.
talking
Yeah,
about?
it was
Did you ever experience water talk?
No, I haven't. But I
Okay.
have that rose syrup that I used to absolutely botch those margaritas, so maybe I can have a comeback.
Yeah, I'm down for a good mocktail.
Okay.
Maybe like a wine spritzer. I feel like that's a good in between mocktail and cocktail, you know.
Yeah.
Medium.
Mock out with your cock out.
That's exactly right. I'm so glad you put a name to what we were all thinking.
If y'all don't know this about me already, I think it's an ADHD thing, but at all times my brain is trying to rhyme or it's coming up with song lyrics that match the scenario.
And sometimes she sings them and you're not sure if it's a real song or
Yeah,
not.
it's like a mashup and no one knows. It's just chaotic in here, my brain.
Well, I'm glad you let it out. I
Thank you.
always want to hear it.
Thank you for giving me a safe space to do that. But anyway, guys, if you want to hang out with us live and in person through the screen, then join us on Patreon. That is every first Friday. So tomorrow, June 2nd at 7 p.m. Central.
Yes.
That's
now,
all.
are you ready?
Now I'm ready. Shutting
Before
my
you so rudely interrupted me.
I know. We could just keep it a secret, not tell anyone, and then just see who shows
who the
up.
real ones are.
Yeah.
True. Let's be super toxic to our listeners.
Comes naturally to
Test
some of
their
us.
loyalty. Okay, Addie Cherry, Effie Cherry, Ella Cherry, Lizzie Cherry, and Jessie Cherry were 5 sisters born to parents Thomas and Laura Cherry between 1854 and 1871.
Such cute names already.
Adorable.
You can't really go wrong with a first name when you have the last name Cherry.
So true. And
Should
I
be
love
Marshino Cherry.
Marshino. I love that they all end in E. Addie, Effie, Ella, Lizzie, and Jessie.
I'm a big fan of the names that end in E. I think
Me
it's
too.
important to
They're
me.
cute. And with the last name Cherry, They were 5 of a total of 8 children. They had a brother named Nathan, which missed opportunity to. What's a boy's name that's Charlie? There you go.
Charlie.
Easy.
Charlie Cherry.
Charlie Cherry. Perfect.
What about Popular?
What? Okay. Gross. They also had 2 other siblings that sadly passed away when they were still young. Alec really liked that joke.
Yeah, she's really playing to me today. Knows how to get a laugh.
Yeah, the immature jokes always get a laugh with you, Alec. But Kat, you have to be like 3 glasses of wine deep to get a good laugh out of you from this.
I did just give you permission 5 seconds ago
To just
to
let loose.
let your intrusive thoughts flow. So I'm glad you took
Be
heed.
scared.
We don't know much about their childhood. Their father was a painter. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. The family traveled around a lot. I think in the Midwest, they lived in a few different states and then ultimately settled in Marion, Iowa. In the early 1890s, when Jessie, the youngest, was 17, both parents passed away.
Oh, no.
And
God,
their
what
brother,
happened?
I don't know. I didn't see what happened on anything. And then their brother, Nathan, I have Jason written here. I think his name is Nathan. He skipped town and just like ran away. So he left the 5 girls who were young women, like they were of age the youngest was 17. So they were just kind of fending for themselves. And this is really hard to do as single women in the 1800s. They needed a way to make money.
They needed a baby daddy.
No.
Or no, I mean sugar daddy.
No, they didn't. They didn't want to rely on some
Also
creepy
fair.
man. So instead, not that all sugar daddies are creepy. That's not what I mean. I just mean they wanted to be independent, and they wanted money for reasons that we're not entirely sure of. There's like different. People say different things. Yeah, I think it was survival. Like they needed to pay the mortgage on the farm, keep things going. Some people, though, say they wanted to raise money to go to the World's Fair in Chicago, which maybe they did want to do that too. I mean, why not both?
Are there still World's Fairs?
No. So,
Sorry, I didn't know that.
if there were World's Fairs, you would know. Like that, why wouldn't you? Okay,
There's
never
just
mind.
so much to know. My brain only has so much space.
The Olympics are kind of like a World's Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, so in a
exactly.
way.
There's the Olympics, Bonnaroo, Coachella. That's what I know.
All right. They're trying to think of a way to make money, and vaudeville is really big at the time. Traveling troupes could make pretty good money, going town to town, performing musical numbers, dances, theatrical skits. And Effie saw this and figured that she and her sisters could make some money as a performance group. They had some theater experience. They had performed in like school and church functions, but nothing professional. But who needs profession to make it big? Professionalism. All 5 sisters were really excited about this idea. They're like, heck yeah, we can do this. They began hanging posters around their small town, advertising.
That's us in 2020 starting this podcast.
So true.
Who knows how to do a podcast? Not us,
Not
but we're
me.
going to do it.
I have no experience.
Yeah, cue you matching with Alec on Tinder and him saving the freaking day for your
Yeah.
love life and our podcast.
Yeah, if we tried, we've said this so many times, but if we tried to make the podcast ourselves, we would have quit halfway through the first episode.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much immediately.
Immediately. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to use a computer.
Would have been rough.
We would have been recording like on our phones.
Yeah.
In like GarageBand. Anyway, so their act was titled Something Good, Something Sad and premiered at Daniel's Opera House in 1893. The show began with a song sung by Effie and morphed into a variety of performances. All the sisters sang. Sometimes they sang well-known songs. Sometimes they sang originals. They danced, played musical instruments, and acted out dramatic sketches. The act had
Like a freestyle, just whatever they were feeling that day.
just everything they could possibly fit in a performance. They did it. And it wasn't cohesive. Like there was no story that ran through the whole thing. It was just kind of a variety show.
Sounds fun. Like you don't know what's going to come next.
Yeah, that is so true. The only thing really tying it together was the Christian and patriotic themes.
Okay.
In one of the more controversial parts of the performance, Jessie acted out the crucifixion as Jesus. And she ended this by being suspended by a cross.
Wow.
Pretending to be Jesus. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that you were going to say she reenacted Mary giving birth to Jesus, which is also a big moment.
That is, definitely one of the climaxes of the Bible, I would say.
She really was bold with the crucifixion play.
Giving birth to Jesus would have been hilarious. What if that's how nativity scenes began? Like you had to give birth before you get the cute animals and shit.
And then she has a cherry that she just
Haley,
sits on to make it, accurate.
I hate the term pop your cherry.
I'm not talking about popping. I'm just saying fake blood,
Well, technically, if we're to believe the Bible, Mary
That's
still
true.
had a cherry. This is
Oh
a
my
disgusting
God.
conversation.
It's
Virginity
it's
is
natural.
a social
Yeah,
construct.
virginity is a social construct, but sex and birth are natural and fine to talk about.
Definitely. Just not the cherry popping is what I'm... Okay, forget we ever said that. I sometimes think about how there's video of me saying these things right now. And
yeah, that just gave me a
not a fun thought.
Bad thought. Oh God, why'd you do that? Edit it out.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I don't ever want anyone to see me saying those words. Okay, so the show was not good, to say the very least. It was bad. But it was performed in their small hometown. A lot of the audience knew them. They probably also knew that their parents had just died. Like, they knew about the stuff with their brother. So they felt bad for them. The crowd was kind. They clapped politely. They told them they did a good job. The Cherry Sisters were elated by this praise.
It's like when you're a kid and you put on a play for all the adults. And
oh my
like,
gosh.
Okay, yay, it's over.
Yeah, thank God. That's going to be the number one reason I may never have kids is because I don't want to go to their stupid plays and shit.
Just get them hooked on video games.
Okay, and then they never leave the house.
Yeah.
And they never make me leave the house.
Exactly. Yeah, that's all you have to do. Get them on your Stardew Valley milk. You're talking about purple milk or something.
Yeah, purple star milk. Anyway, so they're really happy. Not only do they now feel like they definitely have talent, but they made $100. That's a lot of money. And they figured they could make more. They were quick to schedule another performance, this time in nearby Cedar Rapids, Iowa. One of the sisters dropped out, so now there are 4. This time they performed their show in front of an audience that didn't know them. So this time the crowd was less than kind. They booed and heckled them, blew tin horns throughout the performance, and threw things at them.
Yeah, no biases there.
No, they said how they felt. In response to the show, the local newspaper, the Cedar Rapids Gazette, wrote a very negative review. Quote, their knowledge of the stage is worse than none at all, and they surely could not realize last night that they were making such fools of themselves.
Uh-oh.
So kind of mean. This really pissed the women off. Like, they thought they were hot shit, and now all of a sudden they get a 1-star Apple review, and it ruins their whole day.
Hey, we get that.
So they contacted the newspaper, and they're like, what the fuck, man? Like, please retract this. The Gazette agreed to let them write their own retraction, basically a response to what was published. Addie wrote it, and it was deemed by readers of the newspaper as barely intelligible. It was full of spelling and grammar mistakes, and all of this meant that they were just mocked even more.
Yeah, they really set her up for that one.
I think they knew what they were doing. And I mean, now the women are pissed, so they accuse the newspaper writer of libel. They're like, this retraction didn't work, so now we're going to legally go after you. He was arrested, I think, then immediately let go because what? But the newspaper saw an opportunity for a great story. They decided to host a mock trial for him at the local opera house where the sisters could perform their show in front of a quote unquote jury to prove to the jury that they were actually good and that therefore the newspaper writer was libelous.
Bring out the dancing lobsters.
Literally. So they performed in front of the jury, and their act was technically terrible, but it was so terrible the audience had fun, and they found the writer guilty and sentenced him to marry one of the sisters.
Oh, that poor sister.
I know.
Unless she liked him.
Well, I mean, this was clearly making fun of them. It's like, oh, they're so like ugly and not talented that marrying him is punished. Marrying one of them is punishment. So it was really shitty, and like people were laughing at them, but they were having fun at the same time. You know,
yeah, they're getting a little boost of fame, some attention.
Yeah,
they won
in a way.
In a way.
It's unclear whether the Cherries were in on the joke and just willing to lean into the bit because they were getting money and attention, or if they like really thought they were talented. We're not sure. Either way, they kept touring and earned a reputation for being so bad they were good. Their shows were rowdy and weird. The audience had fun heckling them, throwing garbage at them. Like, people would show up to these shows with bags full of like shit to throw at them. And they were able to sell out venues. This caught the attention of a Chicago vaudeville agent who signed them and put them on tour through the Midwest.
What luck. I mean, to just rise like that for being so bad you're good.
It really sounds like if you were willing to put yourself out there, you could do anything in the 1800s.
Yeah, I would say I would probably agree with that.
Yeah, like I think society was just so reserved and traditional. It's like if you were someone willing to go against the grain, you were a star.
A spectacle,
you were a spectacle
of yourself.
Yeah, totally. They continued to perform much of their same material, a lot of songs. They said they wrote themselves, but were clearly based on well-known songs, especially vaudeville songs. There were a lot of recognizable tunes.
Parody artists.
Yeah, they were the original Weird Al. Daryl W. Bullock, who authored the infamous Cherry Sisters, the worst act in vaudeville, where pretty much all this information comes from. Not directly from him, from sources that quoted him.
He made it all up.
He may have. I don't know.
It's a legend.
Haven't looked into it. He wrote that when they danced, they'd, quote, kind of hop around. And when they performed skits, they were, quote, very overwrought, very dark, very weepy, lots of gnashing of teeth and wailing. He went on, quote, very quickly, the Cherries got this reputation of being so diabolically awful that people would go see them just to throw things at them. And they did. People would throw rotten fruit and vegetables. They'd throw cigarette butts, overshoes. They'd take their overshoes off and throw them on the stage.
Okay, going to a show just to be able to throw something at someone gives the same energy as punching a wall.
Same people. The Venn diagram is a circle.
Yep. It's like, for what?
And I've always wondered this. When people throw stuff on stage, like, you don't want that back? They're throwing their shoes. Same with the trope of, like, throwing bras on stage. Bras are expensive.
Yeah, you got to plan for that. You got to make sure you get
you wear your bad
cheap
bra.
Yeah, the bra you're about to retire. It's all stretched out.
But then what if it's a fanfic and Harry Styles picks up your granny bra?
Damn, you're right.
Like, you gotta throw your good bra.
You've got to throw the good bra.
I know.
Yeah.
I gotta commit.
Maybe you go to Walmart or something and get just a basic bra and then bedazzle it. Add some like lace, maybe some feathers. Make it really fun.
But that takes so much effort.
Doesn't have
then
to
you
take
want to
that
keep
much.
it.
Just like sprinkle glitter on it. That takes 5 seconds, and then it's really flashy. And
he
there
sees
you go.
it.
And he sees it.
Okay, well, now we know what we're doing at our next concert.
Yeah, the next time I throw a bra.
Some
like I have before.
many times. Just kidding. Some sources say they had to perform behind a wire mesh so they didn't get hit with anything dangerous. Because the shows really were dangerous. The Cherry Sisters events gained a reputation as a place where you could behave badly. In one performance in Des Moines, Iowa, while most of the audience was throwing things like cabbages and rotten eggs, one audience member sprayed Jessie with a fire extinguisher.
This is getting way out of hand.
Yeah.
Like a rotten egg, that could kill you. Salmonella, ever heard of it?
Oh, I see. I thought you meant by being like knocked out. I was like, I don't know. What if your mouth was open and the egg like hit the back of your throat and choked you?
It just gets suctioned in there.
Oh, terrible. Then you have to like punch your throat to crack
Worst way to go. Ew. That reminds me of a time my brother was choking on a popsicle and then it melted. And he's like, oh, it melted. I was freaking out. I was like calling my mom at work. I'm like, he's choking.
I pictured him choking on the stick.
No, it was on the actual popsicle. I guess he was just like holding it in his mouth and then accidentally like it went down his throat and then it clogged his throat, but then it melted and everything was fine.
Did you ever deep throat popsicles as a kid and like, no?
No, I don't really like popsicles.
I loved popsicles, and I didn't realize how obscene this probably was at the time, but I liked to stick them back in my throat so that like it would like get the back of my throat cold.
You're like trying to get rid of
You've
your
unlocked
gag
a memory.
reflex.
No,
You get Child
no.
Protective Services called on your parents.
Yeah, look at my cool trick. Oh God, no, I didn't know anything about that. But
of course not.
yeah, it's just kids doing weird shit. Speaking of, I witnessed a kid today eat like 15 apples. He collected them from everyone at lunch and then ate all of them.
Do I know who this kid is?
No.
Okay.
But it was a sight to behold.
Just for funsies? He just felt like it?
I asked him. He said he loves apples.
Okay, go off. Does he eat
Healthy.
the core too?
No, he's not. He's not one of those kids.
Yeah, I had one of those kids. I mean, just really loved the entire thing from start to finish.
That is interesting.
And I've had kids who eat so fast. And of course, I'm working with kids who need to learn how to live functionally, but would eat so fast that they like throw up because they're just like shoving food into their mouths, which
yeah, it happens to the best of us. I'm not
yeah.
going to say that's never happened to me as an adult.
What?
No, I probably haven't thrown up, but I definitely have like made myself sick from eating so fast.
Oh, yeah. It's aggressive. And
Yeah.
50 apples, 20 apples, you said?
a
Like
lot
a
of
lot
apples.
of apples?
A lot of apples.
Yeah.
But hey, more power to him. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Sure, he's set for the next 3 weeks.
I went to elementary school with a kid named Webb who would crack apples open on his head.
Oh my God.
He would take an apple and like bang it on his head and it would split in half. It was actually pretty impressive.
But that's the thing, like, do it once, maybe twice if like someone wasn't there that
He
day
was
at
one of those
school.
kids that was always doing weird, aggressive shit like
He's a
that.
one-trick pony.
Yeah.
I bet he ate the cupcake.
Cupcake. Yeah, he was a cupcake paper eater for sure.
Yeah, I knew it. I fucking knew it.
And the water bottle like shooting off the lid, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or the water bottle tornadoes.
Yeah,
Where do
that
those-
undiagnosed ADHD energy.
Yeah, definitely. Big time.
And also, I want to circle back to and just note talking about people eating really quickly and speak to like food insecurity. I know that can be something that commonly happens with that. I feel secure in saying that like their situations were fine, and I don't think that was a factor in it, but I want to just note.
Yeah, that's definitely could be.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I've made myself sick from eating so fast as an adult. Imagine being a child with impulse control and no frontal lobe. Yeah,
or
it's completely understandable.
a college student who partakes in activities and then eats a lot, too much, and you throw up in your mom's garage.
Who's to judge?
Not me.
Not me either.
It's like, you know that cherry ice cream I bought yesterday?
Did you eat
It's
all
already
of it?
gone.
Nice.
I forgot about this pint of ice cream that I had in the fridge or in the freezer, and I found it yesterday, and I was like, jackpot.
It's
It
so
was
fun to find
amazing.
something like that.
Yeah.
I finally bought. I love those little Debbie strawberry shortcake rolls. I finally bought a box the other day.
You
so
would like something like that.
They're
That's
so
fitting.
good. I'm not a sweets person,
know.
but I like really bad sweets. Like I like canned frosting and sweet tarts
I
and
know,
little
it's
Debbie
like-
rolls. Like I like the shitty
I
stuff.
know. You're like punishing yourself.
I don't-
not actually. But it's
Yeah.
like if I'm going to eat something sweet, it's going to be like damaging.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. And it's only when I'm craving it. I don't know. Like, because Haley and Kelly will make these beautiful desserts, and I never eat them because I don't like sweets. Like, they make me feel kind of gross, and I just don't really care for them, even though they're
You're a
beautiful and
savory
nice
girl.
and homemade. And then I just eat trash, like little Debbie's shortcake bars.
That's what I'm going to get special for you, the Debbie shortcake
No,
bars. And then
please.
everyone else is going to get their homemade cheesecake.
Please don't. It's embarrassing. No, it's not. They're delicious. Try them. Okay, so the fire extinguisher thing happens. This pisses Effie off, who storms off the stage and comes back with a fucking shotgun and points it at the audience. And she's like, "What now, you bitches?"
Yeah, she's going to throw ammo at you guys for throwing.
They threw ammo at her first. She's immediately pelted with cabbages. And a riot breaks out. People are trying to jump on the stage, and police have to come and escort the women to their hotel room because people are following them, trying to attack them.
Like, guys, the show is over. You don't have to throw shit anymore.
This is not an immersive experience. You stay in the audience.
This is not a fine dining restaurant where you eat with the lights off.
The chief of police fines the opera $14 for failing to preserve order, and the mayor declares the event the most scandalous the town had ever seen. In 1896, theater owner Oscar Hammerstein booked the Cherry Sisters for his failing theater in Olympia. I can't talk. He booked the Cherry Sisters for his failing theater, Olympia Music Hall in New York City. He is hoping that this act would be enough to revive the venue from bankruptcy. He said, quote, "I've tried the best, now I'll try the worst."
Oh. I like that in the 1800s, things were still happening early enough that they were able to be deemed as the most scandalous thing in this like town or city, you know?
So true. I mean, it probably didn't take much in small town Iowa.
Exactly.
But small towns do have the best drama.
That's true. All right, so he's going to bring them in to get some publicity for this.
Yeah, in
failing
New
theater.
York City. So they are headlining. The New York Times announces their arrival and describes them as 4 freaks from Iowa performing a spectacle more pitiable than amusing.
Oh. Well, it's provocative.
It is. I would want to see it.
Me too.
The sisters delivered on that promise, and they were paid really well for it. The women's residency lasted 6 weeks, and they were paid $500 per week, which would have been a total of over $100,000 in today's money.
Good for them. $100,000 per week or total?
Total.
Nice.
And split between the 4 of them. But $25,000 for 6 weeks of work, I'll take
get
it.
them by. Yeah.
The money was worth it for the venue. The Cherries were a smash hit and returned to Iowa triumphant, having successfully saved the theater. There, they continued performing, and in 1898, they received their worst review yet.
How could it get worse?
Newspaper editor Billy Hamilton wrote in the Ode Bolt Chronicle, and this is a long quote, so bear with me. "Effie is an old jade of 50 summers, Jessie a frisky filly of 40, and Addie, the flower of the family, a capering monstrosity of 35. Their long, skinny arms, equipped with talons at the extremities, swung maniacally and soon waved frantically at the suffering audience. Their mouths opened like caverns, and sounds like the wailing of damned souls issued therefrom. They pranced around the stage with a motion that suggested a cross between a danse vautrinée and a foxtrot. Strange creatures with painted faces and hideous demeanor. Effie is a spavined. Addie is a knock-kneed and string-halt, and Jessie, the only one who showed her stocking, has legs with calves as classic in their outlines as the curves of a broom handle."
So he hated it. Also, can we circle back to talons?
This whole thing is so rude, and not that it matters, but if you look at pictures of them, they are not like ugly. They're actually, I think, pretty attractive. Again, not that it matters or justifies this review in any way, but it was clearly hyperbole. I mean, their act probably did suck, but he went after their age and their appearance.
They're spinsters.
Exactly. That's what he was saying here. They felt that attacking their looks was a step too far. They were really hurt by this review. I think they probably knew what their act was, that they didn't really have talent. So I don't think it really bothered them when people critique their performance. But like, it would be hard to hear all of that about the way you look.
Yeah, especially at a time, and it is still this way now, but I think more so then, that such importance is placed on how women specifically look.
Definitely. They ended up suing the 2 newspapers that published the review for libel and sought $15,000 in damages. The case wound up in the Iowa Supreme Court, who sided with the newspaper.
Fuck.
The official verdict read, quote, "If ever there was a case justifying ridicule and sarcasm, it is the one now before us. According to the record, the performance given by the plaintiffs was not only childish, but ridiculous in the extreme. A dramatic critique should be allowed suitable license in such a case. The public should be informed of the character of the entertainment, and the publication should be held privileged."
I see both sides. I mean, he didn't really have to go that hard, but what are they really gonna be able to do at the end of the day about a scathing review?
Yeah, I totally agree with the court's decision, because you're allowed to publish your opinions, even if your opinions are rude. The Supreme Court set an important precedent here that journalists have the freedom to, like I said, publish their opinions, even if they're exaggerated and or hurtful. This was a landmark case and has since been cited in a number of other cases regarding freedom of the press. It's actually really important what happened here. I mean, yeah, journalists can be shitty, but they have the right to be shitty. You should be able to publish your opinions without fear of legal recourse. In 1903, Jessie died of typhoid fever.
Ugh.
I know. Her sisters Addie and Effie continued to perform into the late 1930s. And I think this would have put Addie in her 70s and Effie in her 60s.
Yeah.
So they
elderly.
kept at it. None of the women ever married. Effie tried her hand in politics. She ran for mayor of Cedar Rapids in 1924 and 1926. Unfortunately, she lost, probably because she ran on like a really conservative platform that argued for a 9 p.m. curfew.
Oh.
So I don't think anyone wanted that.
Yeah, how's that going to play out with her shows?
True. You're literally a performer. What are you talking about, girl? The sisters are remembered for their success in comedy. I think it would be impossible for them not to have known what they were doing, you know?
Yeah, I think they played into it and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is what gets the crowds here, and we can tolerate some shit being thrown at us. People leave with an experience. They may not go riding home, oh my God, it was so good, but it was an experience to see them.
Exactly. Like, I really do think they were comedians, and maybe they started out thinking they were good, but by a few years in, like, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And comedy that's like, quote, so bad it's good is still popular now.
Yeah.
And these women pioneered that genre. I'm sure people have done it before them, but they did it big. And I'm a big fan of How Did This Get Made and watching like bad movies, and that's exactly like what this is. So I think it's cool that they were on the front end of that, and they made a really good living for themselves. They stayed independent their entire lives. They never had to get married. And
Snaps for that.
snaps, that was an incredible feat for women of that time.
Is there any footage of them performing?
I don't know. I did this just a little last minute, so I haven't had the time to look up any
Delved
videos.
into it, yeah.
But I'm
we'll look into
maybe I'm. Do they have video footage in the
There was,
1890s?
I don't know about in the 1890s.
I guess they performed
but
until the 30s, so maybe
Yeah.
there's some of their later stuff.
I'd be interested to see. Oh,
yeah.
there they are.
Yep, they're playing the drums.
The big drum. Yep.
But I love them, and that's the story of the Cherry Sisters.
Thank you so much for that learning journey.
You are so welcome.
We'll be right back.
Haley and I both inhaled like we were going to talk at the same time.
We were going to talk at the same time.
Take it away.
Hey guys! So, you may have heard me hint at it at the beginning, but we are restructuring Patreon a little bit. We are trying to follow what brings us joy. So, for the time, we are retiring List Bitch and Trivia, but we are bringing in something new.
And I think something better.
I think so
perhaps?
too. We just did our first episode. It's called Show and Tell. And essentially, it's a whole extra episode of what we typically cover.
Yeah, it's basically an extra episode. But we're trying to, I mean, there's a lot of times we'll research a topic and it's like, ooh, like, I don't know if that would work for the main show, but it's something I'm really interested in and willing to share to a more intimate group of people. And
ma'am.
that's what that is. I covered a famous executioner from, I believe, the 1600s, Jack Ketch, in my segment.
And I am leaning fully into the true crime, my night crimey segment. This week I covered one of Germany's notable serial killers. So,
was he a serial killer?
oh, I guess
killed once.
He was interested in serial killers.
Yeah, he wanted to dabble.
Yeah, he was an odd guy. Armin Maives or Maives, not really sure. But if you're interested and want to hear us talk about it, then that is available over on patreon.com. But that is not the only new show we have over there.
Yes, we are transitioning my show, this is Alec, producer, Trivia Night, to Smart Alec. And on that show, I am just simply teaching a night classy lesson, like I did with the Oak Island Mystery and Forrest Finn's Treasure.
Finally putting in some work for this show, Alec.
I know, they're putting me to work, but like Haley said, it is joyful work. It's going to be really fun. And this month, I did the Pensacola plesiosaur.
Yes. So if you would like to hear either of those episodes, you can go to patreon.com/nightclassy. There's different things available to different levels. So pick the one that works best for you. Not only will you get extra content, but of course you'll be supporting the show, keeping it going.
And we could not do the show without you. So thank you so much. And let's get back to it. Alrighty, let's go on this learning journey. Freddie Nanda Dekker Oversteegen, or Freddie Oversteegen, was born September 6th, 1925 in Schoten, Netherlands. Freddie lived with her parents and older sister, Truus Oversteegen, on a barge. Prior to the war, the family harbored people from Lithuania on their ship, but after their parents divorced, the sisters and their mother left the barge and moved into a small apartment.
Why were they living on a barge?
That was just like a thing to do around there. A lot of people had houseboats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was picturing. Maybe I don't know what a barge is.
Yeah, it's not like a cruise liner. It's no ghost ship.
It's no ghost ship, thank God.
But in their new small apartment, they were sleeping on like straw mattresses and living in poverty to lower class area there. They did not have much growing up, but for them that was no reason not to help in any way that they could. Their mother was, quote, a communist with a fierce intolerance for injustice, according to the Smithsonian. And as early as the mid-1930s, the Oversteegen family hid Jews fleeing from Germany. As Germans invaded, they had started hiding them somewhere else. Many were discovered despite their best efforts, a fact that has haunted the Oversteegens until their deaths. But the sisters were passionate from a very young age. They were super involved as activists. They worked as like young nurses on the German border of Holland, simultaneously reporting on the German military airport. So they really
were
had to
doing
grow
a
up
lot.
fast. They were
Yeah.
doing a lot.
Do you know how old they were when they were nurses?
I believe so. For this story, they were 14 and 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was not doing that when I was 14.
I was babysitting, but
Okay.
if one of the kids needed a Band-Aid or something, I was like passing out. I'm like, I can't handle this.
I was eating Little Caesars pizza and reading Twilight over and over. So
oh my God. Yeah,
I'm
had
basically
braces.
a hero too. Yeah.
If that tells you anything. They also handed out anti-Nazi pamphlets, posters, and newspapers. The underground and illegal newspaper was called Trau, or The Faith. One sister would look out while the other would just stuff the papers into Nazi, or they would stuff the papers telling of Nazi Germany transgressions into the totes of passerbyers, or maybe people who are riding on their bicycles. Even their mother helped. She assisted in the marketing of the paper by creating stencils. They had these really bold slogans that the girls would then paste over German announcements all over the city. Again, one of them was always keeping a lookout for the other one while they were getting it up on the wall. And once Germany invaded Russia, the girls were given this huge banner to place on the side of the train tracks in tribute to the brave Russian people. And it was so massive. The girls were like, I don't know if we can do this. Like, we're literally teenagers. There's only 2 of us. They were scared shitless, but they persevered and got it done. And
banners are heavy.
I know.
Have you ever tried to lift one?
How did they transport it? I have lifted very small banners, and typically they're pretty thick. You know, they got to stand up to the rain.
They've got that like waterproof coating on them.
They're thick, bitches. They are. Yeah. So they got that shit up alone. Everyone in town started talking about it. And their acts caught the attention of Franz von der Wiel, the Harlem Council of Resistance commander. He showed up at their house, and the girls later said that he looked like a movie star. They were kind of smitten with him.
Hot. Can you imagine like the rebellious activist, like underground mogul shows up to your house when you're a teenager?
Absolutely not. He talked to their mom first and then asked to speak alone with the girls.
Okay, Joe Jonas.
Hold my hand.
Yeah.
In his organized resistance, he was looking to push the envelope even more. He wanted something, quote, more subversive, a lot more violent, and a lot more dangerous. And he asked the girls if they would join his organization.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to join your organization. You didn't even have to ask me. Let's go.
More violent.
More subversive. With the permission of their mother, the girls joined the Council of Resistance. She had only one rule for them: to always stay human. Freddie was just 14 years old and Truce was 16. The teenagers Freddie, Truce, and their friend Hani Schaft worked together to sabotage Nazi military presence in the Netherlands. Hani was 16 years old at the time, and she was actually in school studying to be a human rights lawyer. After they joined, they learned more about what was going to be asked of them, and that would be sabotage and assassination. And they were down. I mean, they were kind of like, if that's what we need to do, I guess that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Franz told them that they'd have to sabotage bridges and railway lines and learn how to shoot. And Freddie later in life recalls her sister saying, well, that's something I've never done before.
Good attitude.
Yeah. She, it's not something you think you would get into necessarily, especially as a teenage girl.
Yeah, but they're taking so many risks already. Like, doing what they were doing could easily get them shot. So, it kind of seems like the
logical
next step.
Yeah, it's just escalating in the natural way.
Right.
The girls became 3 parts of a 7-person team. Together, the trio set up drive-bys where they shot Nazi soldiers from their bicycles. So they'd be on their bicycle and shooting Nazi soldiers. And the way they looked is just so unsuspecting.
Yeah, they're teenage girls.
Yeah. I have a picture if you want to take a look. The first slide is of the sisters, and then this second one is of all 3 of them. We can take a glance now. I mean, they really just look like your typical girls, I'd say, from the 40s or so.
Yeah, they look very normal. I like their little bolo ties.
Yeah, they're really cute.
The pushback hair is a choice, but... It kind of looks like the way my hair looks when I wake up in the morning.
Truce was the, quote, decisive, down-to-earth one of the 3. She was kind of seen as the leader. As the older sister, she also felt responsible for Freddie in ways and also entitled to boss her around. It seems to me that Freddie she cared a bit more about her appearance and wanted to be seen as more feminine out of the 2 sisters. And one thing they would do was they would go to local bars and they would talk to Nazi soldiers and use their like feminine energy and be like, do you want to go on a walk? And they would lure them out to the local woods with we could make out, and then they would execute them in the woods.
Why wasn't this strategy used more often? Is what I want to know. Like, it
Because-
sounds like it's so, I mean, not that what they were doing is easy at all.
Yeah.
But it seems like the best way to lure a man into the woods.
It seems that it was highly effective.
Yes.
And obviously this ends up being a really traumatic experience for these
Oh,
girls.
of course.
And we don't know how many like people they took care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, seemed really effective as far as
Yeah.
luring in and killing Nazis goes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to imagine the trauma
Yeah.
of that, especially as a teenager. But effective strategy.
It worked for sure. And throughout all of this, they're also sheltering Jews, political protesters, gay people, and anyone else being singled out by the Nazis. And like I said before, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit in my notes, but the two sisters are pretty different. Truce was described as more of a tomboy with, quote, more masculine features and mannerisms, in contrast to the, quote, feminine and fierce Freddie, whose hair had grown into soft curls, and she seemed to be more overly cautious of like where her body was in time and space, and she was really careful to like try and like stay small and always cross her legs, while Truce would just like spread out, was really comfortable in her body. That's just something that people noticed about each other. So they were different, I think, at their cores, and they had their arguments like any siblings did, but their working relationship went really well, especially despite what they were facing. Freddie was the first one to fatally shoot a Nazi soldier, and even in that moment, she recalls feeling as she saw him fall that she wanted to help him up.
Yeah, I mean, even if you know what you're doing is right and that person is like deserving of that fate, it'd be terrible. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
don't
doesn't
want.
strip you of your humanity and your ethics. It's such a complex position that they found themselves in.
Yeah.
But the urge to kill Nazis and their collaborators was stronger than this human side,
Right.
for the resistance. And Freddie just said, we had to do it. It was a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
The girls transported Jews to hiding spots and planted communist flags at the headquarters of the National Socialist Movement. But there was a time that the trio drew a line. They were ordered to kidnap the children of senior Nazi officer Arthur Seyss-Inquart. He was an overseeing Nazi-occupied Netherlands at the time. The objective was to swap his children for some imprisoned members of the Dutch underground, but the girls refused, as they could foresee this plan potentially going wrong and the children being killed.
Yeah.
In the book Women Heroes of World War II, 26 Stories of Espionage, Sabotage, Resistance, and Rescue, Schaff is quoted as saying, "We are no Hitlerites. Resistance fighters don't murder children."
Mm.
The girls, like I said, never revealed how many Nazis and collaborators they killed. Freddie said, "We're soldiers, and soldiers don't say."
That's good.
Yeah.
You don't like, it's not something to brag about, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like
absolutely not.
their overall what they did is definitely something to brag about, but if you sit there and like you know, giving
That's
the
where you
numbers
start to worry.
that's,
Yeah.
thinking about like killing people as something to be bragging about is not good.
And it's not something that they wanted
Right.
to do.
Right.
Like she said, it was a necessary evil.
Yeah.
So this went on for some time, and just 3 weeks before the end of the war, Hani Schaff was spotted during an attempted assassination and earned a target on her back. She had this red hair, and to the Nazis, she became known as the girl with the red hair. In March 1945, she was captured by Nazis, and while she was captured, she was transporting secret papers with a pistol while riding her bike. She was interrogated, and the Nazis tortured and then executed her. Just so close to the end of the war.
Yeah.
Her efforts were just incredible, and it's heartbreaking. And I know this isn't giving a lot of riffing, but the
yeah, sorry I'm not coming through with the comedy this time around.
Where are your cherry jokes?
I'm just distracting myself by staring at the buttons on your shirt.
Are they shiny?
Yeah.
This shirt has been driving me crazy because like the inside liner keeps popping out.
I was noticing that too.
Oh, it's so annoying. I'm like, this is why I ended up at the thrift store. I know
it's
it
a
must be
very
why.
cute shirt.
Thank you.
So everyone has to have one flaw.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like get some double-sided like iron on.
Yeah,
like some
that's
hemming.
a good idea.
I think that's what I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the tragedy. True said it was tragic and very difficult, and we cried about it afterwards. We did not feel it suited us. It never suits anybody unless they are real criminals. One loses everything. It poisons the beautiful things in life.
Yeah, they probably felt invincible to an extent, and this was a wake-up call.
Do you mean
like when their friend died?
Oh,
like they
yeah.
probably like felt like nothing could touch them, and then that's like the reality of what they're doing. Probably
We've been doing
sunk
this
in.
for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like we're just these girls to them, but
right,
they're
they really
not.
will
It's
kill us.
Still punishable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so after the war, although it wasn't, I don't think it was a diagnosis then. I feel like probably not even until the 70s or so, PTSD really became like a diagnosis. I would say it's safe to say they struggled with that and depression during and after the war. When asked how she coped after the war, Freddie said, by getting married and having babies. She seemed to just completely separate that part of her life and compartmentalize.
Yeah, just start a new chapter and try to forget.
Put it out of your mind as much as you can. She led a quiet life compared to her sister, Truce, who spoke often about their acts of resistance, noting the importance of future generations to know their truths and know what happened and know why they had to do what they had to do.
Right. She's totally correct. And I understand both responses.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there is a right response to this. I think they both were able to follow what they had to do.
Right.
I think what's shitty is that for decades, they weren't acknowledged. The Netherlands didn't acknowledge the work the sisters and Hani did during the war and labeled them communists, like in a bad way. Yeah. Finally, in 2014, they were all awarded the Mobilization War Cross for their efforts.
Were they still alive?
Yeah.
Okay,
the
good.
sisters were still alive.
That, like, I feel like at that point you'd be fucking bitter and, like, not even want it. You'd be like, fuck you guys. You ignored us for decades.
I think there probably was a time when they were bitter. I think at that point in time they were glad to be recognized for sure. They said they were glad, but with work like this, it's not about the recognition.
Oh, absolutely not. But it's gotta hurt seeing guys come back from liberating concentration camps and being decorated and honored like immediately, and what you did was
you're
just
so right.
as brave, and you're just shuffled to the side.
Yeah, and even put down by your own government.
Yeah,
like, oh, they were just dirty communists.
Yeah, like I don't think they or I have no idea what they wanted. I'm not them. But if I were in their shoes, it wouldn't be that I wanted the recognition. Maybe I would, but it'd be more about the unfairness of it all. Like, the sexism and all that.
Yeah, it
was
really unfair from the beginning. And then it just grows exponentially obviously the whole situation of World War II, the circumstances are unfair. And then it just at every level, it just
I'm sure
so painful.
Yeah, there were bigger and different things going on. But you know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah. So I don't want it to seem like I don't know what you're trying to say. But I can't imagine they weren't bitter at some point.
Right. I would be.
Yeah.
Can you imagine as a kid if your mom just at one point your aunt came over and was like, did your mom ever tell you about our killing sprees?
Yeah.
How we used to fuck up Nazis and save people?
That would be wild if you just slowly learned wow, my mom was a cold.
Fucking badass.
Yeah.
We really do need to like ask family members about their experiences, because it's crazy how many people do, not on this level usually, but like very interesting things and don't talk about it as they get older.
Yeah, and you start to forget things, and even if you do remember, your memory starts to fade away a little bit, and some of the stories aren't great to listen to, but history is history. Like, you know, my grandpa died last year, and just before that he had started sharing some of his experiences that caused his PTSD. That I remember sitting there with my dad, who's in his 50s now, and he's like, I have never heard any of these stories in my life. So we do need to start, and that reminds me, we should get that sponsor Storyworth, I think.
Oh yeah. I always hear those ads, and I never want to get it as a gift for someone, because I feel like that's
You're giving
work.
them work. Yeah.
A gift of Storyworth would be, you make the story for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
It would be a gift for me.
Here's what we do. We get it for ourselves now, and we write it, and then it's something we can give to future generations.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I think that's a good way to do it.
But I want like my parents and grandparents to do one, but I don't want to be like, here, do this homework.
Well, here's what I do. Whenever I'm around my grandparents, I typically will just open up my recorder on my phone and just have a conversation, think of a few questions that I'd like to know about them. Like, I have my great grandmother talking about how she had the hots for the guy she babysat for her, and he was an FBI officer. Yeah.
Wait, she had the oh
Yeah.
I thought okay. I thought she was babysitting him.
I bet she wanted to.
Okay, I now understand.
No, her neighbor, the dad and parent,
it's
and
like,
the mom.
Why did an adult man need a babysitter?
Oh my God. No, but just funny things like that. So just set up the recorder, ask their permission, of course.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I took an acting class in Los Angeles, and one of the exercises was they gave you like these 100 questions, and you had to ask someone all the 100 questions that you didn't really know them that well, and then you had to kind of play that character and come into class the next time as that person you asked the questions to. And there was this guy I worked with on the Santa Monica Pier, and he worked at another cart. I sold hot dogs at one cart, and so I asked him all these questions one night when it was slow, and I felt like I knew this guy inside and out. And I was like, that's so crazy that after just about 20 minutes of asking him these questions, I feel like I know him so intimately. So then at the next family vacation, my grandma, who's like 100, she came over, and I went through the same list of questions on audio record with her.
That's
That's
cool.
amazing. Do you still have that list of
Yeah.
questions?
Do you remember what some of the questions were?
I don't, but I'll have to pull them up, and maybe I can post them and give them to you guys.
Yeah, maybe we can make a
Should.
Patreon special episode where we answer all of them.
yeah,
I don't know
we
if anyone
should.
wants to hear that, but I would
I
like
want
to
to hear
record
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's such a flex to have a family member that's 100 years old or
True.
older.
Yeah, I think she's 98 right now or something.
Wow, liar.
Close enough.
Yeah.
No.
Stolen
You've
valor.
earned it. That's really cool to
That
have,
is
though.
cool.
Okay, so the 3 girls, women, were awarded the War Cross, and then they each had a street named after them. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's something.
it's something. But nothing can cure them of their nightmares and oftentimes screaming and fighting fits they experienced in their sleep, let alone remnants of this time of their lives in their waking hours. At the end of the day, they were thankful for the recognition and reminded the public that even when the work is hard, you must always remain human. Both sisters passed away at the age of 92, Truce in 2016 and Freddie in 2018. And I do believe there's a movie coming out about them this year. And I think there
Cool.
has been one made before.
Okay.
That is my lesson on the Oversteegen sisters and Hani Schaff.
What a sistery episode this
Yeah,
week.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, same wavelength.
Sister.
Yeah.
You know what that's from, right?
No.
God.
What is
it's,
it?
Tia and Tamara, I think.
Was that on Nick?
I think it was Disney.
It's twin
Tia,
sisters.
Yeah.
Mm.
You don't know them?
It sounds familiar now. I think I can picture them.
Let me help you.
Okay, I've never watched that show. I wasn't a Disney Channel girly. I was Nickelodeon.
I was Nickelodeon all the way, so I don't really know why I know that so well. I guess I probably got enough to get that little tagline.
Yeah, I don't think I watched any Disney Channel until Hannah Montana, and even that I watched way too late, like when I was in high school.
It's so good, though.
It's so good. It was my guilty pleasure.
Sweet niblets.
I would come home from school at like 15 and watch it in the basement so that nobody would see me watching it because I was so embarrassed, but it was so good.
I had a cover. The kids I babysat watched it. So I was like, fuck yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Y'all want to watch some Hannah Montana?
Yeah, it's my phase 2 in life. I got into my Disney era in my teens as well.
And then promptly grew out of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that beautiful learning journey.
Thank you.
One more reminder of our cocktail hour tomorrow on Patreon. Be there or be square. And we love you. Thank you for your support. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Send this episode to a friend. Spread that sisterly love. Send it to your sister. And we'll see you next time. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.
Wasn't sure if you were going to do it. I thought you forgot.
I never forget anything.
Sometimes you do.